Okay, continuing with part 2 of the video. We're gonna keep on solving dividing decimals by decimals. Remember that your first number goes on the inside. Second number goes on the outside. Okay, this time I have 2 decimals on the outside. So I'm gonna slide it all the way to the right until there's no more. So that's gonna be 1, 2. So I actually had to slide it 2 times. Copy the same thing. So if I did it 2 times, I'm gonna do it 1, 2 times there. So what I'm gonna have is, I'm technically gonna have 0, 0, 0.9. However, these zeros are not really important right here. So technically all you need is 1 0. So we have 0.9, and that is divided by 18. Okay, before you forget, slide your decimal on top. Since there's a decimal, I'm not gonna put an X there because I need a 0 placeholder. 18 goes into 0 0 times. Bring down the 9. 18 does not go into 9 either. That's gonna be 0 again. So 18 times 0 gives me 0. Okay, you see how there was already a decimal? Since there was already a decimal, I could just add zeros until I terminate. 18 goes into 90 exactly 5 times. It got me 0. There's nothing to bring down. It has terminated. So your answer is 0.9. No, sorry, 0.05. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong number. So 0 and 5 hundredths. Okay, next problem. We have first number on the inside, second number on the outside. I'm gonna slide it all the way to the right. So that's 1, 2, 3. Since I did it 3 times, I'm gonna do it 1, 2, 3. So since I put it behind the 7, realize that now we have 7 divided by, technically these zeros can ignore. You can ignore those zeros, so you have 25. Okay, so 25 does not go into 7. So I'm gonna put a 0. Now I have no number to bring down. So what I need to do is you need to add a decimal. Since I added a decimal, I have to slide it up to the answer. The decimal goes there. Then you can add a 0. 25 goes into 70. Think about quarters. When you have the number 25, think about quarters. 1 quarter is 25 cents. 2 quarters is 50 cents. 3 quarters is 75 cents. You see how 3 quarters is too much? So I have to use 2 quarters for 50 cents. That gives you 20. Bring down a 0 because you didn't terminate. Now think quarters again. So 3 quarters was 75 cents. 4 quarters would be like $1, which is 100. And then you have $1.25. You have $1.50, $1.75, and $2. So 8 quarters will give us $2. It has terminated, so that's your answer. 0 and 28 hundredths. Okay, last problem. How many times as many internet users are there in Japan than in Spain? So in this word problem, you have to get the information from the word problem. They want to know how many times as many. As many means division. So we're comparing Japan and we're comparing Spain. Now we also have to read and interpret a table. So this is internet users in 2008 by the millions. We have China, United States of America, Japan, France, Spain, and Canada. And we have all the millions of users that China, United States of America, Japan, France, Spain, and Canada had. How many millions of internet users? However, the problem says I want to focus on Japan, and the problem says I want to focus on Spain. So that tells you what numbers are important. This number is important, and this number is important. So how many times as many? So based on the setup, Japan goes first and Spain goes second. So we're getting Japan and we're dividing it by Spain. So once again, Japan is 127.4 divided by Spain is 40.4. So first number goes on the inside. Second number goes on the outside. Remember that I can't have a decimal on the outside. So if I slide it once there, I have to slide it once there. So that gives you 1,274 divided by 404. Okay, 404 does not go into 1. It does not go into 12. It does not go into 127. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our little trick that I taught you a while ago. Except this time I have 3 numbers and 4 numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, since there's 2 numbers here, 404, I'm going to ignore the 04. So I'm going to ignore those 2 numbers, and I have 4. And if I ignore 2 numbers there, I'm going to ignore 2 numbers there. So that's a little estimation. We're kind of comparing 4 and 12. How many times does 4 go into 12? About 3 times. So since it's an approximation, that means that maybe I could do 404 times 3, because 4 goes into 12 about 3 times. So ignore 2 numbers, which means you ignore 2 numbers there, and that gives you an estimation. So 404 times 3, that's going to be 12, carry the 1, 12. So we have 1212, which is really close. So that's the number we're going to use. And you're going to subtract. That gives you 2. That gives you 6, 0, 0. Okay, so I had to add a decimal because I needed to bring down a number. There was nothing to bring down. So before I put the 0, I have to put a decimal, and I slid the decimal up there. Okay, 404 goes into 620 about 1 time. That one's pretty easy to do mentally. So that's going to be 10, because I'm borrowing from this 2. Gives you 6. 12 minus 0 gives you, 1 minus 0 gives you 1, 2. Okay, then I'm going to put another 0. Okay, so I'm going to do the little trick again. I'm going to ignore the 2 zeros to give me 4, which means I'm ignoring 2 numbers here to give me 21. And how many times does 4 go into 21? About 5 times. So I'm going to try 404 and 5. That gives you 2020, so that's really close. So I'm going to use that. So I'm going to put a 5. 2020. I'm actually going to stop. So I have 3.15. And why am I going to stop? Because there's a part that students tend to ignore. And I did that on purpose to show you. Because we ignored this, we're going to keep on going over and over and over again. However, there was one important part. I'm not sure if you guys noticed. Under the table, it says round to the nearest 10th. Round to the nearest 10th. So I have 3.15 so far. Which number is in the 10th position? The 1 is. Round to the nearest 10th means that I only want 1 decimal place value. So I stopped because I only want one decimal and I already have 2, so I don't need to. What we're gonna do now is round. What does the 5 do to the 1? Remember, when you're rounding, it's this number after. So since I want up to the 10th, that means the number after is going to determine what happens to the 1. If it is 0 through 4, there is no change. However, if you have 5 through 9, that means you're moving it up 1. You're moving it up 1. So 5 is the second category, 5 through 9. So that means that the 5 makes the 1 become a 2. So that is the answer, 3.2. And we're talking about millions of internet users. So there are 3.2 million times more internet users in Japan than there is in Spain. So there are 3.2 million times more internet users in Japan than in Spain. And that's it for the lesson.